have to recapture the moral ground that we have given up. And that's really what I came to talk about today, since I have this crowd here. It's not just about taxation. It's not just about overspending, although those are enormously important issues for us. The reason that we are going down this path right now is we have lost our moral compass. We no longer demand integrity from our leaders. We're not looking whether they can be leaders or not. Everything has become a cult of personality. And integrity is the only thing that separates us from the rest of the world. When I am told by my government that instead of suffering the consequences for bad economic choices I make, they're going to bail me out at the expense of my neighbor, I have lost my integrity. When I am told by credit card counseling services that they will find a way for me to pay 50 cents or less on every dollar that I spent on a credit card, I have lost my integrity. You have to reclaim that integrity or we stand for nothing. I don't want them bailing out banks. I don't want to be bailed out. I don't want to lend money to people who can't pay it back. Nobody in this country was brought up that way. And I'm tired of us saying it's okay. You've got to have integrity in your life. Your children have to be watching you conduct yourself in a moral way. You can't continue to allow the voices of above to tell us that it's not important that you preserve the unborn lives, that it's not important that you talk about whether or not marriage is a sacred institution between men and women. This is a Judeo-Christian nation. We not only should be having those conversations, we should be standing up for what's right. The day has come for us to take back the language. We've allowed them to subvert our very language. There's nothing liberal about taking money out of my pocket and giving it to somebody who's unwilling to pull their load. There's nothing liberal about deciding that poor people need help. Those are conservative principles. Those are not principles that we have to run away from. The only difference is, give me the money, I'll take it out of my own pocket, and I'll decide who I'm going to be charitable to. I looked at my tax form. There are many people here today. We had to cut a big check today to the United States government. I figured out that I work until July 15th every year before I get to keep my money. I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't feel like I'm getting much for my money. My military's been decimated. We're trying military members like Lieutenant Michael Behenna, and we're putting them in Leavenworth for 15 years on my dime. That's not what I envisioned. I want war criminals like Khalid Mohammed. I want them tried in Gitmo like enemy combatants. I don't want my dollars spent on bringing them to the United States of America. There's a huge disconnect going on in this country. We've lost our moral compass and we have to reclaim it. Because you can come out on November 2nd and you can vote for people who stand for something. People who have integrity. We have choices for the first time in this country. Not just here in District 22 with Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, but all over the country. There are men and women with dignity standing up and saying, enough is enough. We're going back to the way our forefathers had planned this country. Get involved. November's coming. Vote them out. Get rid of these guys. You know, we had a handful of people in the Congress back in 1994 that came on board. And when they got there, I remember having a conversation with J.C. Watts. I was interviewing him. And I said, are there any heroes up here? Who are you guys going to go to for advice? And one of the people that he thought he could go to for advice is the former congressman of District 22, our own Congressman E. Clay Shaw. I want you to think back to a softer, kinder time in South Florida when we actually had the representation of a moral man with integrity like Congressman E. Clay Shaw. He's here today to address the patriots. He, unlike the sitting congressman, Ron Pillsbury Doughboy Klein, comes out and looks his constituents in their face, even after he has long since gone home and gone back to a peaceful life, because Congressman Shaw spent a lot of time. He was the mayor of Fort Lauderdale when I got here. There's a lot of time that he spent in the service of this country, and yet today he will come out and he will look you and me in the eye and talk about his dreams for South Florida and his dreams for America. Vote out the losers who are not here today addressing their constituents, every last one of them. I'm given the extreme pleasure and honor, I don't want to take up too much of your time, of introducing Congressman E. Clay Shaw. I have to tell you, he wants his seat back. He doesn't want to sit in it, but he's decided who he does want to sit in it. So without further ado, I'll let him tell you who he thinks you should vote for.